Okay, so here we have our rig, and we're going to do uh, a punch. So let's go here. We're going to select all, save a key, um, and then we're going to save a key here at 5. Again, let's just say this is uh, our idle pose, our combat idle. Typically in games, you've got two idles. One is your at rest idle, um, where the character is not in combat, and you've got your combat idle, and that idle pose is typically the pose that a lot of your combat animations are going to be coming out of and then back into, depending on the game you're doing, the engine you're using, etc. So here we go. So we're going to just kind of come over here. Let's set all the curves to constant because they're still on cycle, I think. And we are going to just do our pose, the actual pose of the punch. And typically what's going to happen is you're going to have a meeting with the design department, and they're going to give you, it really depends on the studio and how the studio works. They're going to give you the requirements for for combat. They may say, hey, we want the punch to hit at a certain specific frame, or you can do what we did. When I was working with Luis on that open-handed combat stuff for DCUO. Was it open hand blast? Sorry. Those combat moves where it was very what's the word I'm looking for? It was very collaborative, which was great. He just said, "Hey, let's. This is the kind of moves we need. What do you think?" We discussed it, and then I'd quickly block out some stuff, and we'd get in there testing. It was just, we'd work like that, back and forth. Okay, let's not try this. Oh, let's try this. Oh, how about what if we try this? And I wasn't spending a ton of time making the animations look pretty. It was just really the extreme poses to get the idea across. So it would read, and it'd just be enough. We could get in there and get it in the game engine and start actually playing it and seeing how it felt, which was great. So it really depends on the studio you're at, what their workflow is, etc. So I have a pose here for the fist. I'm going to save. All right, so I'm going to kind of drop this guy a little bit. Bring the arm back. And then I am going to select all these guys and just give it a twist. See, sometimes, depending on how the rig's set up, if the axes aren't lined up in the same order, sometimes you can't do multiple select. He pretty much is. The Y is here, Z is here, and X is around the middle. And that's pretty much standard on all of them, so I can grab them all and rotate them, which is nice. So right now I'm just kind of looking for a good pose that reads. I'm looking for balance, strong silhouette. Basically, silhouette is if you took off all the lighting. This is a great way to check your silhouette in Maya. Use all lights, because I don't have any lights in the scene. And basically, it just gives you what the outline is of your character. And if you look at just the outline, is it readable to the viewer? Can they tell what's going on? If it's not, then you want to try to open it up more and make it readable. And when we can do this, if I get this arm maybe out here, this is a little dangerous what I'm doing because I can be messing up the geometry pretty bad. Maybe I can. So that's reading more like an arm now coming back. And you really want to try to get negative space. And really, that's just the empty space around the character. When the forms overlap like this, it becomes very difficult to see what's happening. But if you can really get those forms to open up, your poses will read a lot better. Just go back to the default lighting. I want to adjust this fist so it reads a little better. So now, let's say that's our punch pose. And I'm going to actually lower it a little bit. I want it to be away. See, I want that negative space between the hand and the face. So if we go back up here to lighting, it reads, and that's much clearer. If we turn off the rig controls, it's much clearer to see what's going on in this pose. I'm actually going to slide this leg out a little bit more, give him a little wider of a stance, and just makes it a little bit more dynamic. Go back to use default lighting. Then we'll just do a quick pass to make sure it's not too crazy broken. Adjust his gut overhang a little bit. One thing too that you can do that's very helpful is under shading, wireframe on shaded. And that way you can look at how the mesh is deforming, if you're getting any really bad areas of twisting, etc. And it's a lot of times it's a good way to work. Getting this really funky bend in that ankle there, which I'm not liking. So I'm going to add. Usually I'll add a little foot twist to soften that bend a little. And then I'll kind of bring that foot up a bit. Anyway, so here we've got this punch, right? So just kind of quickly goes into that pose. But now, let's make this a little bit more readable by turning off the wireframe. Turning off the controls. And you can see there he's kind of going into this punch. Now I know he's sliding and stuff. I'm not really worried about that right now. I'm just kind of looking at my poses. And yeah, okay, it's a punch. But now if we're able to add an anticipation to this, so he's coming forward and down in this direction. So if you look at it from down, he's coming forward and twisting. So if we want to do the opposite of that, let's go in here. We're going to select all. Let's turn our controls back on. We're going to middle mouse click and save. So now we have basically copied that keyframe. And now we're going to basically do the exact opposite with the pose. We're going to rotate him the opposite way. Rotate his back, his torso, and kind of twist it back the opposite way of where he went. This hand kind of out here. Lab looks a little low to me. And then let's get that fist pose in there. We want the elbow down. Let me turn on the pick mask control so I don't screw anything up. Okay. I'm going to bring this foot back. I'm going to bring him back. We're going to get him some more twist. And he's going to be bent down this way. Let me drop him a little bit. I'm going to kick his knee out. Now we don't really want him looking. You know, if he's going to hit somebody, you're going to be looking at him. Here comes that haymaker. Hand up here. Again, because this is, you know, would be a player, you know, a player animation for a player character. Really the most important view is from the side because that's where you see your character from. For the most part, you don't really, I mean, you'll see him from other angles, but a lot of times you're doing combat, you're probably looking at him from this angle for, you know, maybe 75% of the time. So that's what you want to play to. All right, and we're looking at the weight. Foot maybe come up a little bit. I'm looking at this arc on the back to see if maybe I can push that shape a little bit more. So you got something like this. And if I can get the foot maybe a little further back, kind of compensate for all that, you know, all this mass. He's so top heavy, all this weight. You want him to be in balance. Maybe kick him forward a little bit. His arm's a little high. I wanted to get it up so you could kind of see it from the back. So now that we have that, you can already tell how much better, just with these three poses, having that anticipation helps that punch read so much better. And now if we just mess around with the timing a little bit, say he goes into this really big anticipation. And again, you know, for like finishing moves or something, or the last move at the end of a chain of attacks that you successfully complete, you can get, you know, the time to do these type of moves, where you can get a big anticipation off the wireframe. And you can feel, you know, it's a good hard hit. You have that build up, and you know what's going to happen. You see this coming, you know there's a punch that's going to come through there. Wham, 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 wham. So again, the importance of anticipation. And again, for our jump, we just quickly, I'll save this in case we need to jump back to it. Let's go back to our jump. You know, we've got this that nice anticipation in there. And remember, this was just a few poses. It's not, you know, finished, polished animation. But you get that anticipation. If we took that out, so basically we're going to go from here to that guy. Let's just save. Just want to make sure there's keys on all those. We're going to delete that. And then we're going to come here, set a key. Okay, we open up the graph editor, and we're getting some overshoot here on the first few frames because I did this hold. flatten that out there. Okay. So now, and this is more like a jump you would see in game, because when you hit that button, you want it to pop up immediately. You don't want to have that big anticipation. So again, that's one of those things that, you want to try to add anticipation where you can, but sometimes you just have to forego it for the sake of gameplay. So hopefully that should cover anticipation. Also, when you're anticipating something, you don't always have to make it a really huge anticipation. Sometimes it may be just very subtle, and it may be just enough to help the animation read a little bit better. So there we go. Alrighty, let's move on.